All right, welcome in to episode 58 of Happy Medium. My apologies for the somewhat lengthy delay in episodes. I know, I think our last recorded one, it was like a Bears Steelers preview, I want to say, a couple weeks back. Then I had Thanksgiving. I was at some family's house with my cousin, my aunt, and their dogs, so I couldn't record that week. And then last week I was supposed to do an interview, but then my guest and I had to push it back uh, a few weeks from or after today. So yeah, my apologies for the delay. I have had some things I thought were gonna happen, but had to push it back. So, but glad to be back with you guys today. I'm gonna try to make this a little shorter episode than usual. I feel like I say that sometimes, and it still ends up being kind of long. But I am going to try to stick to my promise today. Maybe like 20 minutes or so. I don't know. We'll see. But I do. Or this is the first episode of a two-episode week that I'm gonna have. I actually am doing an interview on Wednesday with someone. Can't quite reveal my guess for that yet. You're gonna have to wait and see when I release that. But looking forward to that, and just wanted to you know do this little mini pod today since I was not able to do one last week, last minute. But yeah, we can get into it a little bit. Hope you all have had a nice couple weeks since you last heard from me. I don't think I've done one of these Zoom ones in maybe a month. It's been a while. I know I've been kind of slacking recently, so I'm gonna change that and get more consistent like I was for a while. But yeah, like I said, thank you all for coming back, and we can get into it. Might as well. So I was gonna, or if I was gonna do a pod last week or like kind of over the weekend, like I had originally planned to, I was gonna do a Bears Packers preview. But now that the game is over, it's Monday morning, so I'm recording this right now. I'm going to do a little Bears Packers recap and look ahead to last, what, 3, 4 weeks of the season left for the Bears. I know I've been talking Bears the last couple episodes, but they've been playing well for pretty well, so there's probably a lot of demand for it. But yeah, so excuse me, Bears Packers yesterday. Uh, Arguably, probably most anticipated Bears game in several years, probably since like the 2019 opener, I'd say. I mean, it's been a while since it's always exciting when Bears play the Packers, but especially when the Bears are good and relevant, because that hasn't really happened often at all. Heck, I know the Bears beat the Packers at Lambeau at the end last year, but what were they, like 5-12? There's no really wasn't that excited, at least in my opinion. It really didn't really mean that much to me. But yeah, obviously the Bears are or were 9-3 heading into yesterday's game. Were the top seed in the NFC. Packers were right there behind them pretty much. So there was a lot at stake for yesterday's game. I wouldn't say that whoever won is gonna take the division just quite yet. Um, but certainly provides some more momentum and intrigue toward that. What do they play? I think the Week 16 game. I want to say in 2 weeks from this past Saturday on the 20th. Bears Packers will play at Soldier Field at night. I think 7:20 kickoff on Fox. So Saturday night kickoff on Fox. You don't really see that too often, but good to see when the Bears are relevant, especially, then the NFL wants to show them on TV. Yeah. So I was gonna do this. Like I said, I was thinking about doing a Bears Packers preview. I was gonna pick the Bears to win. I'm not gonna lie. Just because, it, especially after that win over the Eagles in Philly on Black Friday. once the Bears won that game, I thought, I don't want to say I thought they were going to run the table for the rest of the year, but they were just playing with so much confidence and momentum. It seemed like they really just couldn't lose to anyone, even if it was the Packers or whoever they would have faced during the or this last stretch of the season. But they did go down sadly yesterday, 28-21 up in Lambeau. Really, kind of a tale of two halves, I'd say, for the Bears. First half, offense was pretty sloppy. Just wasn't there just wasn't a lot of momentum. Just they just weren't able to get anything going. Pretty much just a lot of short drives that didn't really lead to anything besides one field goal that they were able to get in the second quarter. So it looked like the Bears might be down or might have been down 7-3 at halftime, or as halftime approached, I should say. But then Jordan Love uncorks a deep ball right before the half, and Bo Melton, his name is for the Packers receiver, was able to catch it and turn a 7-3 game into a 14-3 game heading into the locker room. And I feel like at that point, that's that would have been kind of like like the backbreaking play per se for Bears teams of years past. Um, like being just being down 4 points, then all of a sudden you give up a long touchdown. When Dennis Allen tried to dial up a blitz, didn't work because no one got home. Jordan Love, and then you've got the receiver on a safety pretty much, and I don't want to say it's a wrap, but you'd obviously prefer to have your top cover corners covering receivers versus safeties in the middle of the field, and the Packers were able to take advantage of that a couple times on a couple touchdowns too, especially getting in some man-to-man stuff, running Christian Watson over the middle of the field to the sideline. Packers were able to get a long touchdown off of that too in the second half. So not the Bears defense, I was expecting them to, not that they played bad, but maybe just, you know, give up one last touchdown. That certainly would have helped. They did have an interception by CJ Gardner Johnson early in the first quarter, but didn't really lead to anything, sadly. And that was pretty much kind of the extent for what the Bears defense was able to do against the Packers offense. The Packers offense was able to get a lot of big plays, especially in the passing game. Josh Jacobs had a couple nice runs at the end of the game to put them in position to score that go-ahead touchdown. Bears defense didn't really help themselves with a couple missed tackles as well during that time frame, which could have maybe changed the the outcome and the final score of what ended up being the game yesterday. So, but it was it was good to see fight and response and resolve from Ben Johnson and the rest of the Bears team. I feel like that's something we normally wouldn't say about Bears teams of years past, especially when they would play the Packers. Excuse me. Like I said, when it looks like they're going to be down 7-3 at halftime, and then all of a sudden you give up a long bomb and it's 14-3. Like that really could have been just a demoralizing play, especially if your defense, which has really kind of been the catalyst of some of your offensive play recently. But Ben credit to Ben Johnson, he went in the locker room, said what he needed to say, whatever that was. I don't know, but the Bears were able to make adjustments. Clearly, something was clicking with their offense in the second half, passing game, running game. They were able to get down the field. Not I wouldn't necessarily say they were able to get like whatever they wanted, but they were certainly able to get some chunk plays, big plays when they needed it, second down, third down. Caleb Williams really stepped up in the second half, made some really nice plays, especially like out of structure, out of the pocket, was able to roll out, threw a dime ball to, I think it was Cole Kmet down the sideline to set up their first touchdown. And on that touchdown throw, Caleb did a nice job as well, kind of rolling out to his right again, finding Olamide Zacchaeus in the corner of the end zone. I thought in real time that ball might have been intercepted, but then I saw the Bears making the touchdown signal. So yeah, always it's always tough to lose, especially when you're playing a team like the Packers who've beaten the Bears behind for however many decades consecutively at this point, it feels like. Um, but this was certainly a different, and I know people on like Twitter and stuff and shows and all that stuff have been saying this, but I want to harp on it too. Like this is a different Bears team with Ben Johnson as head coach now. Like he is not going to let the Bears, you know, dig in and wilt and crumble when adversity hits and they face pressure. Like we've seen this in however many games here: the Giants game, the Bengals game, the Vikings game, the Commanders game, the Raiders game. Like all these games that could have easily gone the opposite way for the Bears, they were able to turn on their side and win. Now, again, it unfortunately wasn't able to happen yesterday. I thought it may have at the end. Um, they got pretty close down there in the red zone, 4th and 1. Needed a touchdown to at least try to tie the game or go ahead and win it if they went for two. Caleb lofted the ball to Komet in the end zone, similar to that touchdown play they ran against Philly, actually, but just didn't quite lead them far enough. But the ball was intercepted by Green Bay to seal the win there. Just an impressive second half effort, especially. They were able to get the running game going a little bit. It wasn't necessarily like huge chunk runs, but just like the sheer volume of runs that they were able to get off. I feel like kind of started to wear that Packer defensive line and front down at least a little bit. And especially when the Packers have a guy like Micah Parsons who can take over a game every snap if he really wants to, being able to kind of neutralize him effectively in the second half and try to get some play action going down the field. They were able to get a couple nice screens too. I remember I think on third down to set up I believe it was the Colston Loveland touchdown to tie it at 21. So there definitely was some more offense in the second half. They were able to find some stuff against that Green Bay defense, whether it was like short intermediate stuff. They didn't, like I said, they didn't really get a ton down the field really, outside of a couple nice plays by Caleb. But Ben Johnson certainly likes to run the football. The Bears have been effective running it lately, especially with that kind of two-headed punch of Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. I know but Nungai especially had a couple really nice runs where he just didn't go down once he got hit or was trying to get tackled, but was able to bounce off defenders, and just try to lean forward and gain that extra yardage, which is very important from a running back. And something that DeAndre Swift maybe doesn't do as well. So it's nice if they have two running backs whose skill sets maybe aren't quite the exact same, so you never quite know what they're going to do to the opposing defense and what Johnson can kind of scheme up with both of them. So all in all, pretty good effort by the Bears offense. Like I said, especially in that second half, Caleb didn't have like the flashiest stats. He was 19 of 35 in the past game, only threw for 186 yards. Did have two touchdowns and that one, game-ending interception. But if he's able to kind of carry over that second half performance into what he can do for the rest of the year, that would really help the offense because as nice as it is to see him play well in stretches, it is, pretty frustrating when you're down 14-3 at half and in the whole first half your offense really can't do anything. So gotta find more consistency there in the pass game. It is nice to see him try to do it when it matters most in the third and fourth quarter, but if you can do it earlier in the game and try to at least get in the red zone, whether it's touchdowns or field goals early to try to give your offense a little bit of momentum and kind of have your defense play well off of that too. That would really help a lot. Roma Dunze was out. The Bears, arguably the Bears' top receiver, or DJ Moore. But Moore had real. I've been kind of perplexed by how DJ Moore has been used or not this season. He really hasn't been getting a ton of targets like recently, even though he's been playing every game. Only had 3 targets yesterday. Only had 1 catch. Went for a loss of 4 yards. That the one play at the end with Cole Kmet that I said where Caleb got intercepted, you could kind of see more like leak out in the like 5 yards downfield off of that, but I don't know if Caleb saw him because it was a 4th and 1 play, so you only need 1 to 2 yards to gain that first down by definition. But if you want more, you can try to get more. That's what the Bears were trying to do. They wanted to try to get a touchdown on that throw. Didn't quite work out. Um, yeah, I was surprised on DJ Moore's lack of usage, considering that Roma Dunze was out. It did allow guys like Cole Kmet, Colson Loveland, and even rookie receiver Luther Bird in the third had a pretty good game too. He had a team high 6 targets, 4 catches, 67 yards, excuse me. So always nice to see rookies like Burden and Colston, Loveland play well when given more of a run. I know especially since that Bengals game, Colston Loveland's been a lot more featured in the offense and has been able to make some really nice plays down the field, especially, which is a nice compliment with Cole Kmet at that other tight end spot too. So yeah, wasn't the prettiest game, especially in the first half. But it's Bears Packers. It's December, cold weather. You know, division maybe not at stake right now, but it will be soon, certainly. Not really nothing better that you can ask for from kind of that game's perspective and how it ended up turning out, aside from the fact that the Bears unfortunately were not able to pull off the win. I know people have been saying that if the Bears were able to score a touchdown there at the end, Johnson would have gone for 2 to try to get the win. I personally love that decision if it was able to be made. Try to kind of steal that game out at the end at your opposing rival at their home stadium, but unfortunately was not able to quite work out the way that the Bears intended and wanted it to. But a much better effort, and I don't want to say result, but a much better effort certainly for a Bears Packers game than we've been accustomed to seeing from previous Bears teams and under different regimes and coaches and everything. That Ben Johnson as head coach knows what he's doing. He knows how to call plays. Obviously, he knows how to command that locker room, as we've seen with the shirtless celebration after the Philadelphia win last week. Um, you can just tell that the players are 100% bought into what Johnson is doing and what he's selling and what he's preaching to them every week. They clearly have, they're trying to get an identity, excuse me, of running the football these last few games. They've been pretty successful with it. Again, yesterday they weren't able to get a ton of chunk plays, but they were able to grind the Packers down a little bit and get the play action game going off of that, which is helpful to what Johnson wants to run offensively. So, yeah, a fun game to watch, fun Bears Packers game to watch. Uh, certainly, like I said, something I can't really have said about previous Bears Packers matchups. Um, but hopefully that this gives them confidence that they can certainly hang with the best teams in the NFC, whether it's Philadelphia, who they beat, or Green Bay, who they were very close to try to come back and win that game. Now Green Bay is in the lead for the NFC North by I want to say it's a half game or a game, something around there. So this division race in the North might really come down to week 18 when the Bears play Detroit still. So we'll see how this end of season stretch turns out for the Bears. They do host the Cleveland Browns at Soldier Field next Sunday. Cleveland's not a very good football team, even though they have some good players like Myles Garrett gonna be a like a trap game or it should be an easy win. I just want the Bears to win, whether it's by 1 point or by 20 points or more. Hopefully they can just beat Cleveland, and then, like I said, after the Cleveland game, the week, what week? I think it would be week 16. I want to say the Packers come back to Soldier for that Saturday night kickoff, like I mentioned, and that game will be as big, if not bigger, than last night's game was. Soldier's going to be rocking for that one. So, uh, yeah, it's about it. Like I said, the Bears, their offense was able to keep them in it. Uh, defense, you know, it's not like you're going to get five takeaways every game, per se, defense wise. But certainly could have thought, certainly was hoping and maybe thought they could have held up a little more um, in the second half, hopefully, than allowing those two second half touchdowns. Um, but thankfully to the Bears passing game, um, kind of showed out when they needed to, or when they needed it to a little bit, and then the running game with both backs combining for 32 carries for 138 yards, another 100 plus yard rushing performance for the Bears against Philly. They actually had over 200 yards rushing. Both Swift and Mungai were able to get 100 yards or over 100 yards each that game. So not quite the same success running the ball statistically maybe yesterday than they had against Philly previously on Black Friday, but certainly a nice balance, and it was pretty successful when they needed it to. Just unfortunately, sometimes plays don't go your way in football when you're playing your biggest rival, and you know you can't win them all. You can't win them all as much as I'd love to see the Bears go 17-0 every year. Um, that's not gonna happen. So uh, on to Cleveland. Uh, see how that game kind of turns out. You gotta just tip your cap to the Packers. Their defense stepped up when they needed it to. Jordan Love, um, you know, had a good game. No, I know a lot of people and especially Bears fans like to hate on Jordan Love because he plays for the Packers, but Jordan Love's a good quarterback. He's a damn good quarterback. Um, you got to give him credit. So yeah, I think that's about it for what I wanted to talk about today. Um, like I said, probably a little shorter episode than usual for me. Little Bears Packers recap. Like I said, I do have a second episode coming out this week. Um, on, I'm gonna film the interview, or my guest and I are gonna do the interview on Wednesday. Maybe I'll Thursday or somewhere around there. I'll have to see when. But yeah, be on the lookout for that little 2 episode week for me this week. Finally, kind of getting back in the swing of things a little bit. My apologies for the delay if you've been wanting and waiting to hear from me about whatever sport. My apologies, but I'm finally back. Gonna be more consistent as my schedule kind of frees up, hopefully a little bit soon. So, yeah, thank you always for coming back and listening or watching, streaming, whatever you wanna, or however you choose to consume happy medium. I always appreciate it. If you want to subscribe, channel, like, leave a comment, review, whatever. I appreciate any sort of comment or feedback, positivity, etc. So, yeah, thank you. Um, hope you all have a nice couple days and or rest of your week. Hope you all had a nice weekend. And I will talk to you in a couple days when I do my interview. So, signing off. Take care.